Final Fight 3 starts with a scene showing that after Madgear gang was destroyed, everyone thought that Metro City is finally safe, but without Madgear's supremacy on the crime scene, other gangs began to fight for power. Skullcross gang became the most powerful of them, dominating the city. Few months later, Major Mike Hoggar meets Guy, who is back in the city. During their meeting, a bomb explodes few blocks away. Detective Lucia of the Special Crimes Unit shows up and informs that the Metro City is under a massive attack. Turns out riots broke out in the center of town. Haggar asks Guy to help, and a mysterious blonde guy shows up offering help in leading them to the gang. Haggar has no choice but to trust the stranger. So they hit the streets and instantly get into a fight with gang members all over the place. The city center is ruined with destroyed police cars and buildings. They reach the police station that is also under control of the gang. Turns out one of the police officers named Dave is corrupted, and he turned over to the Skullcross side when the rampage started. Dave fights against Haggar's team, and though he is defeated, he delays them long enough for the rest to get away. Now they understand that the riots were just a distraction that gang used to break out their leaders from jail. The stranger introduces as Dean and explains that he used to be a street fighter, but Skullcross offered him to join them, and when he refused, they slaughtered his family, so now he seeks for revenge. The team progresses through the streets, and block by block they try to push back the Skullcross and regain control. They reach a British-style bar, Club Sims, where they are approached by Callman. He is the owner and lead bouncer of this place, but it's just a cover for his real cooperation with Skullcross. When Callman is defeated, team heads for bus station and actually takes a bus that is filled with thugs, and they must fight them while riding the vehicle. But since the game has some alternative path, they might as well choose differently and take a ship instead of a bus. If they do so, they go on a bridge, and that way leads them to the docks. If they get on the bus, they reach a junkyard, where they must deal with few waves of Skull members, until they reach an old bus and jump on its roof to fight Caine. Caine is a crazy mechanic who loves to disassemble machines and mechanisms. When they handle Caine, they go to Chinatown to secure that district. The battle starts on the streets, but soon it's taken to the roof of one of the buildings. After dealing with gang members, team breaks the wall and enters the building that turns out to be a fancy Chinese restaurant. The place is taken over by Skullcross, so Haggar and his mates battle them and end up in the kitchen fighting with Wong, who is the owner of this place but turns out to be Chinatown's underworld ring leader and turf balls behind the curtains. Along with smuggling food and resources for the Skullcross gang for extra money and using his business to eavesdrop on rival gangs and mobs, he also distributed the weapons smuggled by Drake at the port. Who is Drake? Okay, back to the alternative path. So, if Haggar and the rest go to the port instead of jumping on the bus, they reach a ship and jump on it. The boat belongs to Drake, who is a sailor that works as a weapon smuggler for the Skullcross. Team fights him and takes over the boat. But all of a sudden, a guy named Bull shows up riding a bulldozer that tries to push them off the deck. Though they try to fight back, they are helpless against a huge machine, but at the last moment, Haggar attacks from behind and kicks off Bull into the sea, preventing his friends from being pushed down. When they search the ship, they find a huge stockpile of weapons. Haggar figures that they must have smuggled it for someone else, and the only clue who it might be is the manifest pointing to Sims Incorporated. Both paths lead to factory building, but depending on which is chosen, it's approached through the basement or through the sewers level. The place is taken over by Stray, an ex-serial killer who eventually rose to become a high figure in the gang throughout hit jobs and assassinations. And one of his assignments was actually the murder of Dean's family, to intimidate him and make Dean reconsider his refusal to join Skullcross. The factory is used by gang to secretly produce black market weapons, but Stray gets defeated and the facility is secured. The trail of the Skullcross leads back to the city, and it points to the largest skyscraper of the Metro City. The struggle starts outside the building, and then team progresses through lobby. They take back the security room and reach an elevator that takes them to the highest floor. After dealing with dozens of Skullcross members trying to defend their boss Haggar and his friends, finally reach the mastermind behind all Skullcross operation. His name is Black. Black used to be a mercenary who led a special forces team, but he took his military experience to the streets and gathered his companions to establish Skullcross Gang. He was eventually arrested and thrown into prison, but the gang blew up a police station and broke him out during the riots. And during a tough fight, Black is at one point knocked back into a high-voltage transformer and electrocuted to death, causing a chain reaction that had destroyed both the entire building and the Skullcross Gang's evil plans to take over and control all of Metro City. As the fight is over, Haggar must rebuild the city that got badly destroyed during the riots. Dean states that his fight is over and that he owes the rest a lot for helping him achieve his vengeance. The team splits, hoping to meet again in the future, and that's how the game ends.